Finally, after 17 million years, we got Springtrap and DBD, and it was a huge success as expected. The game broke its highest records on Steam. Every content creator for both FNAF and DBD has been making content on it, covering like everything, and even the casual players have been having such a good time with it. But after this crazy success, I would assume that they want to capitalize on like this hype and bring a part 2 chapter later down the line. So that's why we're here today, to make a content for just exactly that. I'll be giving ideas for 5 different killers with 5 different powers to see who would be the best fit for like a part 2 chapter. I'll also throw in survivor ideas for each killer, map ideas, and even some skin ideas as well. So I don't want to waste any more time here. Actually, that's a lie. I'm gonna waste more time here. I'm not sure if you guys heard on the news yet, but local YouTuber FloopLooops just hit 33k on YouTube. Isn't that like so cool? I've heard that he wants to hit like 50k by the end of the year or something, so you should probably subscribe if you haven't already. But moving on, let's get started with the first killer, So with Secret Mimic coming out and like more attention being actually like brought to the Mimic, I think now is like fitting for the Mimic to come into DBD. Originally, like I didn't want him, but I just didn't want him like over Springtrap. Now that we actually got Springtrap, yes, go ahead, add Mr. Mimic himself, that's fine. Especially after his performance in like Secret Mimic with all the suits, I now have like a perfect idea for him. So let's go ahead and start with his power, Suit Override. So obviously, I took heavy inspiration from Secret Mimic and with his ability to like randomly switch through suits like within the factory. So this being said, the Mimic starts with 3 costumes around the map. These 3 being the elephant, since it's like the first one we encounter. I swear it's like the most common one throughout the factory. The lion, since it's like a really cool callback to like Ruin and everything. And finally, one of the mycelium men, because I don't know, I just really like them, and they even had like their own trailer and everything, so I think it's really cool. They will all spawn in like these wooden boxes throughout the map, as it did in like Secret Mimic, and they'll be blocked off until he breaks out to use a certain one. The Mimic himself is a 115 killer that's able to move around freely, and I decided to give him like 2 abilities, like I guess you could say. The first and more simple one is, well, mimicking. After breaking a pallet, the Mimic now stores 1 charge of that sound up to a max of 3. After encountering a down pallet, the Mimic is now able to use 1 charge to play sound of a pallet breaking. He would still like stay idle for like 1 second at the pallet, but probably be like only for like literally 1 second. Then this will go on like a 10-second cooldown and is free to use again if you have more stacks. I just want the Mimic himself to have like some kind of ability, so honestly I think that's good enough, to be honest. But now for the fun part. The Mimic's other ability is like more like the main focus. By holding down control, you're able to look around and select the suit to remote travel to. Once selecting your preferred one, you have a little animation of you like teleporting over it, as the Mimic will completely disappear. You would then be hit with like a booting up screen just for your desired suit, and once done, you break free from the box that you're in. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 costumes around the map that you can choose from. Each of these characters has something like unique to them, as well as just like their own switch times. So let's go through those real quick. Starting with the unnamed elephant. Mr. Elephant here has a nice strong boost of breaking objects 15% faster, which is very nice when paired with like brutal strength or fire up or hell, even both of them. The elephant here has the fastest brutal time when switching into it, which is around like 3 seconds. Next, the lion is an interesting one with having a longer lunge. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but it wouldn't be anything too crazy. I would say maybe just like 10 to 15%, but he would have the longest boot time of around like 5 seconds, so it might want to be careful when like needing a quick switch. He may not be the best choice. And finally, we got one of the mycelium men. This little mushroom man is the sneakiest one by having the smallest tear radius of only 16 meters. He's got a nice middle boot time of around like 4 seconds, so literally just right in the middle of the other 2. Now when you first use your mascot, it has to break out of the box as originally in, which is a lot slower than like the switching if it was already out. Think of it kind of like Dredge with his lockers, and like how like the locks slow him down from like exiting. But thankfully, this is only just like a one-time thing. It's when you first use them. You're able to switch out of the suits anytime, and feel free to just leave them like wherever you want around. Survivors will not have collision with the unused suits though, you know, just to avoid like complications with blocking off like entrances and whatnot, since you do have, you know, 3 suits you can put around. I think that's just reasonable, to be honest. And of course, you can still pick up survivors and hook them and everything with the suits. So basically just like the own killers, there's no time limit to using any of them. You can literally just use 1 character for an entire game if you want. But I feel like survivors shouldn't be able to just like do nothing against these suits. So I had an idea, if they just like see an empty one sitting around, they can do like a 15-second interaction to take down the suit. You can even have all 4 survivors doing it, just like the portals that demo has, so you can make it like really fast. This will make the suit disappear and have it reset back to another random empty box, so the suit won't have to break out again. You just see it inactive like sitting in its crate. But honestly, that should cover like the Mimic's power. Overall, I get it's like kind of confusing, but if this is like actually in the game, I'm sure it'd make like a lot more sense seeing it. It's very similar to killers like the Knight or the Twins. It basically just like combines the ideas of them. I think it can be interesting to have like the suits around. Maybe you can give them like actual abilities, but I just wanted to keep it simple here. Let me know what y'all think of this one. And slight intermission, of course, while I'm editing this, Behaviour does an interview and says, if not Springtrap, the team agreed the Mimic would be picked as a killer. The team would absolutely love to introduce the Mimic as a killer in the future chapter. So that kind of just makes the other ideas in the video useless, but too late now. I wish I saw this earlier, but unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. But either way, I still hope you enjoy the rest of the ideas. As for survivors to come in with the Mimic, I would say either Edwin or Arnold is a good pick. Edwin isn't a bad choice since his name is Edwin and he made the Mimic. I heard it was difficult to put the pieces together. And as for Arnold, it's really like who he plays in Secret Mimic, so I think either one would honestly be a great choice personally. For a map, I think MCM is just like super obvious honest, I was planning to like build the maps in Minecraft for this video, but I don't have time while writing like 3 different scripts at the same time, so unfortunately I wasn't able to build them. But I do plan to make a future video on that if you guys want to see it. And finally, for skins, I could only really think of like 2 that really work, I can't lie. These 2 being like the version of the Mimic from Ruin, which looks very similar but still a little bit different. And then the other one is, spoiler warning if you haven't seen like the endings of Secret of the Mimic, this weird prototype thing from like that one ending of Secret of the Mimic. I think it looks pretty cool. I just don't know what the hell it is or who it is. I know it's the Mimic, but I don't know. But I do think it could look very cool. They could also do something cool where like if the Mimic itself changes skins, the colors of the mascots change as well. It's nothing crazy, but at least they would get some kind of skins. Or maybe even like just the colors are just like random for the suits normally. I don't know. Either way, it'd be cool to see. Well, I think that fully covers the Mimic. Overall, very interesting ideas to be made here. Moving on to the next concept, which is my favorite animatronic, Ennard. So I decided to choose Ennard as like another option just because I always saw him as like a side villain of FNAF, and because, well, Ennard is just like my favorite animatronic here, so I'm kind of biased here, but it's fine. So when writing powers for Ennard, there's a few ideas that came to mind like right away. I had ideas for the scuba being a part of the power, him being able to transform into a puddle of wires, vents spawning on the map that he can like go through, a tangle or like raft, I guess you can say, status effect, being able to switch between the fun times, having the mask as a power, using controlled shocks like Doctor, or even being able to crawl into survivor skin to wear them as puppets. So yeah, a lot of ideas. But obviously I didn't include everything into my final idea, but I guess you'll see. Ennard's power is called You Won't Die. Basically, Ennard will have kind of like 3 abilities here. First one being a movement ability, sort of like Xeno. Ennard will spawn with vents around the map that he's to manually crawl through. When entering a vent, Ennard will make like a map-wide sound cue, with the sound effect being the same one used in like Location and UCN. I think it's fitting to keep it 7 enter and exit points. It's the same as both Xeno and Springtrap, but this would be more like Xeno, how you have to like enter it and manually walk around to like to one you want to exit out of. Same thing with marking events with like the trails and stuff showing up like where to go. But it'll still be at least like a little bit different from Xeno because it'll be a much smaller space obviously, and you won't have like as much movement speed. And since it's like vents you're crawling through, I think survivors should be able to hear like some kind of vent noises when like you're right under them or something. I don't know. As for exiting the vents, he should also have a sound effect, but maybe not like map wide this time. And what better sound effect for catching survivors off guard than I think it would be very fitting for it to be a jumpscare sound personally. But I think that covers his vents fully. Now this part is super hard to explain, and I'm not known for explaining stuff very good, so I'm gonna try my best here. Basically, once Ennard downs a survivor, he's given the option to either pick them up like normal, or you can possess them. If choosing to possess the downed survivor, Ennard will physically crawl inside the survivor and use them as a disguise basically. The HUD will show the survivor that just got up to be injured, even though, you know, I think it's pretty obvious how they got up. But the look of the survivor while Ennard is like inside will still look completely normal, so it can still definitely catch people off guard. When Ennard is taking control of a survivor, his perspective will also be in first person, same with the survivor's POV. The survivor will see exactly what Ennard sees, but maybe like a little bit more distorted or something. I think that like makes sense. But there is 2 problems Ennard will face when disguising as a survivor. First of all, you're only inside the survivor for a limit of 45 seconds or so. Maybe that could be like increased with like add-ons or something, but it's not super high. Then after 45 seconds, the survivor will stop and throw you up towards the floor, leaving them to be injured and having control of their own body again. But when you get thrown up, you just turn into a puddle of wires on the floor where you must slither back yourself into a vent to like reform yourself. You move around like 6.5 meters per second, which is the same as Dracula's bat, and you can't injure survivors in this form. You can only enter vents, vault pallets and windows, or go into other survivors in the dying state to like possess them. Then the second problem is that the survivor you're taking control of can hit like occasional skill checks to make the killer's like camera snap randomly in hopes to make it harder to navigate. I decided to make it occasional skill checks since constantly hitting skill checks for the next like 45 seconds would be annoying as hell. But I decided to add both an ability and an exit for Ennard so that he's a way to escape if needed and a way to injure other survivors. Basically just think like Plague. You can probably see where I'm going with this. So while inside of a survivor, you hold M2 to charge up like a puke-like projectile and let go whenever you want it to like shoot out. This will force the survivor to throw you up like projectile at anyone in front of you. If you manage to hit another survivor, they'll lose a health state instantly and you would turn into a wire puddle yet again. Okay, I think that covers the whole like transform ability thing. I may have missed a few aspects, but I think I got most of it. I've personally always wanted a killer that can like turn into other survivors, but of course the problem with that is like Swiss can like call it exactly where they're being like possessed or like controlled, you know? So it won't really fool them. But you can still throw up for like a good hit even if they call you out. So personally I think it's alright. Overall, I really like his power with like the vent movement and everything and be able to like turn into survivors or at least like possess them. I think it could be really fun or absolutely terrible. Let me know what y'all think about it. As for a survivor for Ennard, I feel like it would just have to be Michael Afton. It just makes perfect sense since literally like who we play as in Sis Location, it's who Ennard crawls into once we get scooped. If we get Michael Afton's dad, then Adam with the weird spaghetti monster that crawls inside of him. Okay, that didn't sound right. For the map, I think the Sis Location bunker would just be like perfect. And maybe even a little bit of upstairs for like the house also works since we do see Ennard in that like one ending crawling up. As for skins, Ennard can have like a little bit of them depending on like how they do it. One simple one for sure is just like one with the mask and without the mask. That one's just very simple. I think it works out pretty well. Then maybe they can make like a Mole and Freddy legendary work. It still counts as Ennard like technically and would still work like very well in my opinion. Alright, but that should fully cover Ennard. So now moving on to the next concept, which is Vanny. Vanny is an interesting one because she doesn't do like really anything in Security Breach, so it was really tough to like come up with like a whole power for her. Like it's honestly crazy that her morning DBD would probably match up to her screen time in Security Breach. Like that's like sad, come on man. But I'm not here to talk about screen time. So Vanny's power is called, okay, don't make fun of me, but Vanny's power is called Security Breach. I couldn't think of a better name, okay? Let me be. My main theme for this power is like Vanny using gadgets and other stuff to like to her disposal, starting with some nice simple cameras. I like to think that Vanny was watching us through cameras in Security Breach, so with that in mind, Vanny starts with 5 cameras that she can place on the walls within the maps. These will simply just be for info and like don't scan or outline survivors in like any way. You can also hear sounds of them perfectly, so placing them near gens would be like pretty smart. Just simply check your Faz watch for the cameras that you've placed, and honestly, it's just that easy. As for survivors though, they can simply disable them just by going under them and messing with the wires to remove them and send them back to Vanny. So they're not like super strong or anything, but I think it's just like a nice like bonus for some kind of info at least. And I think just like demo portals, the cameras shouldn't be able to be removed until you've like at least opened it at least once. I think that's pretty fair. As for more of a chase power, Vanny was able to grab Chica's voice box somehow and can now use it during chase. So you press and hold M2 to charge it up and release a loud scream, slowing down survivors in front of you for like 3 seconds. Think like Freddy's snares, like that more slowdown, harder to hit, and it can't go through walls. So it's kind of like a trade-off, I guess you can say. This ability would also have a long cooldown in Freddy's snares from like 7 seconds to like 12 to maybe 15 seconds. So it's still not too bad. As for like a final ability, once per survivor, you can command a staff bot to pick up a down survivor and bring them to a hook. These bots can be flashlight or palisade, but you can't get any perk effect from hooking the survivor, nor can you like choose which hook they bring them to. So with this being said, you can't use perks like pain res, pop, barbecue and chili, or just like anything with actually like hooking survivors. It won't count if you use the staff bot to hook them. So use it wisely for sure. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie here, this power overall is probably like my least favorite one in the video, but I tried thinking about it for so long and this honestly is all I got. My main inspiration for like the whole like gadget theme was literally like this ending with the disassemble Freddy thing and the staff bots all like listening to her. But this wasn't like my first choice. My original idea for her was for her to like enter like a free roam mode or something where she like skips around and makes the survivor screen glitch like how in Security Breach when Vanny's like nearby. But I couldn't find any ideas that work like past that, so I just completely scrapped it. Let me know what you think of this power and please let me know what other ideas you have for Vanny. I will admit I was very lost for hers. As for survivor, Vanessa is like really my only real option, but it would make 0 sense concerning, well, you know, she is Vanny. So I don't really have like a solid survivor option for Vanny because you sure as hell can't like age up Gregory either, so I would just stay survivorless for this one, I guess. Unless y'all would be fine with like having Vanessa and Vanny coming in together. I don't know. I just think it's a bit strange. For the map, the main atrium Security Breach could work, or as I said in like a previous map video, Fast Blast would work really well as like a DVD map. As for skins, I would have said Glitch Trap, but he kind of got taken by someone else, huh? Wow, this whole section for Vanny, I've just been kind of lost, huh? I'm washed, man. Honestly, I don't have much else to say. Let's just move on to the next one, which was actually a popular request, which was Scrap Baby. Scrap Baby is honestly not one that I thought of like at all, but after reading through like a lot of comments, it seems like it's one that y'all suggested like actually quite a bit. So here I am. I think I have an alright idea for her, but it's definitely not as good as some of the other ones that I've made. Scrap Baby's power is called, I actually forgot to write a name on my script. I'm so smart. Cut this out. Scrap Baby's power will be called Twisted Performance. I decided to take advantage of the fact that Scrap Baby has like roller skates on, so I give her some kind of like side like dash ability. I know, how original. God, I wish DBD had more dash killer, but I feel like it felt fitting for Scrap Baby and just like not a main focus, kind of just there as like a move-in option. How it works is very simple. She just has 2 boosts that she can use like basically at any time. She can't swing during them at all, and they have to recharge after like a short time. It's just something very simple. It's literally just for like mobility. Her main attack power, I guess you could say, is obviously the giant claw that she has. With this claw, Scrap Baby was able to aim it and it was shown like the path that it will extract outwards. But what's interesting about this claw is that it bends around the corners very effectively and can get hits that you normally like, you know, wouldn't be able to get. Let me draw a diagram to help you show it better. So okay. So let's go ahead and take this like 4-lane tower here. Then if Scrap Baby's right here and David is over here. No, wrong David. There we go. If David is here, Scrap Baby can change her arm and then it goes around all these corners and takes a health state. Then David will DC and can play in endgame chat. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool ability. It's sort of how like Houndmaster Dog curves on a corner, or how like Min can curve her arm and like smash her a little bit. I don't know why I made that reference. But I want to keep Scrap Baby's moveset simple. I had other ideas for like controlled shocks and such, since we both do that in both Pizza Sim and UCN for her, but I just didn't go through with it. It's still not a bad idea to include that though. Maybe it can be like in the Moira or something. But yeah, as always, let me know what you think of this power. It's very similar to existing ones, but I simply just couldn't get a better idea for Scrap Baby, sadly. As for survivors of Scrap Baby, I don't have a good idea yet again. God, I'm actually washed. I wasn't wrong in the Vanny part. You can't really do like an age version of Elizabeth since, well, you know, Elizabeth is dead and, you know, possessing Scrap Baby, so that's definitely a no. But you could do Henry Emily since he is the one to like kill her off in Pizza Sim, so it honestly wouldn't even be like too crazy to say. A little random, sure, but personally I wouldn't mind it. I actually kind of like the idea. For the map, you can do like an alternate version of like the office and like the vent area in Pizza Sim. I think it could look like really cool on fire and everything, and it has crazy potential in my opinion. And finally, as for skins, that's where I'm stumped. Maybe you can do Scrap Baby as a quote-unquote fixed version as like Circus Baby, but Circus Baby doesn't really have like a giant arm or roller skate, so there have to be like a lot of changes made if so. But I can see it working out still. Overall, I like its power. It's simple and can be really strong for chases. I don't have much else to say about it, honestly. Moving on to the final killer of this video. And for the final one, I want to throw in like a more fun idea, which is Nightmare Fredbear. Now, would he get added? Absolutely not. But I want to throw in like an idea for him since he's an animatronic as he's being recommended a ton. So Nightmare Freddy's power is called Final Memory. So I hate to copy like exact power of some other killers that like already exist, but I think it'd be so fitting to have closets around the map that Fredbear can like teleport through. I know it's just like Springtrap's power, but please let me be. I get. It's still at least like a little bit different because it has a cooldown, and choosing which closet to teleport through would be like different as well. Basically, you enter a closet like normal, then you're thrown into like a FNAF 4 themed bedroom with 6 other closets. You're able to manually walk up to each one of them and go through any of them, or you peek through it first to see what's on the other side. You'll see a straight view when peeking out, as well as hearing all the sounds near the door. Unfortunately, survivors will see you peeking through by seeing just like a red eye peeking through, just like glowing in the darkness. So it might be better sometimes to just like gamble and go through instantly for more of like a jump scare. When you go through a closet door, it's basically instant and survivors cannot react to it like as much. But obviously this isn't like his only ability. Nightmare Fredbear is also given a bite like type of move, and you can probably understand why I gave Nightmare Fredbear a bite move. Think like the Oni when he's like enraged and doing a demon strike. Fredbear will charge up for a second, lean back, and move slower while charging. It takes around 2 seconds, and you can't really like store the charge. It just comes out right away, literally just like Oni's demon strike. If hitting a healthy survivor with the bite, it would just injure them and cause them to be broken for like 15 seconds. I thought broken would be really like fitting because you know in like FNAF 4 they say like broken, and it's like because it's like the same name, and but if hitting an injured survivor, I think it'd be really funny if it like instantly grabbed you and put you in Fredbear's mouth. It'd be so funny just like looking and seeing a survivor trying to like, struggle and wiggle out of like Fredbear's mouth. I would love to see this. This is just like a normal grab, so survivor can still wiggle free and you still have to like actually hook them. Fredbear's normal pickup animation will obviously be different. He's not just gonna like be like biting people off the ground now like a dog or something. But honestly, that should cover his like entire power. I know these like last two with a Scrap Baby, maybe even Vanny actually. The powers haven't been like too good, but personally I still really like Scrap Babies and even Fredbear's. I think they're really cool, nice and simple. If you want to like add more to it, you could also introduce like some kind of paranoia mechanic with like hallucinations or something, but I decided not to. Same with like a sleeping mechanic, but I couldn't do something different enough from like Freddy Krueger in his dream world, so I decided to like stay away from it. But yeah, let me know what y'all think of like the final power for this. Personally, I would really like it, and it's just for like how simple it is. As for Survivor, sadly the only character I can really think of that works again is Michael Afton here, because an aged up crown shell just like wouldn't work like at all, so I think it makes more sense for it to be Michael Afton. They could even do like his Foxy mask fit from FNAF 4 if they somehow go down this route, but I doubt they ever will, and honestly for like a good reason. And for a map, my Fredbear's concept from my FNAF map video I think still holds up very well. It'd be so perfect to have like a FNAF 4 house, Fredbear's, and a grave at the back all in one map. Like this is like super perfect for Nightmare Fredbear. I think it's really perfect. And finally for skins, all I know for sure is that they can so easily do a Nightmare skin. I'm like almost positive that Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear have like basically the exact same model with some like very minor changes, so it'd be like very easy to add this as one. Maybe they can do like a fixed Fredbear version, but it might like too off, honestly. I don't know for sure. Overall, I really like the idea of Nightmare Fredbear here. It would like never get added as basically every option in this video is better, but I still want to include it as my recent request and just like overall interest in the character. Okay, that was all my ideas for a second FNAF chapter if it ever happens. Most likely it will be the Mimic, even the devs have said so at this point, so I'd easily say it's like the most likely killer. I can make a full concept for the Mimic later down the line if you all want, with like perks and like an actual build map, so please let me know if you'll want that. As for our next concept videos, they actually won't be like FNAF related, but still be horror like other indie games or part 2s or other chapters that are already in DBD. So I hope you guys are excited to see those. But that's all I had for this video, so with that being said, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Bye bye.